I did not even make it out of the site.
Coming down. Drink my water.
Second test that I'm like, I got this. I don't even remember putting my gear in reverse. Now I gotta start from the bottom. Hi guys, it's your girl Zamalindi. Welcome. If you're not, what's up? Today I'm going to be giving you guys tips and tricks on how to pass your driver's license. So if you do enjoy this video, please do like down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell and make sure you do subscribe to become part of the Z family, okay? Without further ado, let's get straight to the video. So the last sit down video I did was me telling you guys how to pass your learner's license, and that really went well for most of you guys because a lot of people came back saying they really found the tips helpful. But I also noticed a huge change after COVID. A lot of people felt like the system was so different, the questions were set up in such a different format, or rather they were just, everything was just different. And I myself can actually attest to this because after I did that video, I remember I did my learners when I was still in grade 11. So I just sat and chilled with my learners and didn't really put it to use. Rather, I didn't really do anything to make sure I'm working towards getting my driver's license. So obviously 2 years yapela and I had to redo my learner's license. And when I tell you guys, when I went back to that traffic department, I failed, okay? And it was so heartbreaking because I was like, do they know me? I built this brick by brick. What do you mean I failed? Like, what do you mean I failed a learner's license? And that's when I really understood how heartbreaking it is to fail e-learners, even after you've been given all the tricks. So then I realized, because I spoke to one of the people that work at the traffic department, and he was like, I'm gonna tell you one thing. If you really want to pass your learner's license, don't write it after June, because that's when they make the papers really difficult. It's basically a setup for failure. And you are gonna pass if you do really well and you've been practicing for a long time. But you know, if you want the easy route, just make sure you write your learners before June, especially in the beginning of the year. So from Jan up until March, it's usually very smooth. And I went back again at like around Jan, I think it was 2023, and I passed my learners. So yeah, before I came back to Joburg, I dedicated, I think, a good 2 months trying to pass my driver's, and it was hell. I had failed my driver's license 3 times, no, twice. And the third time I was like, if I don't pass this thing, I'm just giving up, because I'm not about to pay 5k. I'm not about to do some illegal-ish and pay 5k just to have a driver's license when other people could pass it. First attempt, nah. Something's gotta happen. Something's gotta pop up. So I'm about to give you guys tricks. Not necessarily tricks, because this is very different from the learners. Learners is very theoretical. You can study it. You know, you can navigate your way through it. But with driver's license, I can only tell you guys so much. At the end of the day, we all learn differently, especially when it comes to being practical. And I feel like it's so practical, you know. I can tell you guys what to do or the things that I felt like I should have worked on, but we all learn things differently, and I can only hope that what I do tell you may also help you. But don't beat yourself up, guys. If you fail your driver's license first attempt, honey, that's chill. I had people fail their driver's license more than 5 times and they went back. That is power. I never thought I'd go back, honestly speaking. M1T Driving Academy, if you're in East London, Eastern Cape, that is the best driving school you can ever get your hands on. You will get your money's worth, okay? Trust me, you will not spend a lot of money. just believe me. Okay, that driving school is the reason why I have my it is the reason why I have my driver's license or my driver's license. So yeah, fast forward, I'm like, there's this one driving school that I went to before I went to my first test, just to polish up a few stuff, and I felt like, okay, if I just go there just to get the route practice and all of those things, then I'm gonna be fine. But I still was so anxious, so I was like, ish, I don't have any confidence that I'm gonna pass because I don't think I have practiced the way other students should be practicing. We took 5 lessons there, which was a good, what was it, 5 lessons or 4? I think it was 4 lessons. That's 300 per lesson. Went to go and book. I did not even make it out of the site.
I'm coming down. Drink my water.
The yard test, honey, I went to the parallel parking. So the whole format is you get there, right? And then it's the yard test. So the instructor first tells you to do the pre-inspection test, where you just check interior and exterior of the car, and then after that he tells you to drive to the yard test. That's where you will drive to the right parallel. You do the right parallel, and then you go to the other block, which is where you'll be doing the left alley docking. And then from there you drive off to the right alley docking. From the right alley docking you drive off to the left parallel parking. From there you drive off to the 3-way stop, the 3-point turn, and then from the 3-point turn you do the incline. And then from the incline you drive off, then that's when you will start your actual road test. So Dafi Gamnapana did my I did my right parallel parking, and by the time it was time to do alley docking, I think I had not practiced alley docking enough, and it really was something I was struggling with. So I turned too early and the car was too close to the left poles. Like, even if I was to maneuver the car, like there was no saving. So I tried my other attempt, because they give you 2 attempts for the parallel parkings and the alley dockings, and then you have 1 chance for the 3-point turn and the incline. I used both of my stuff and it was try. Like, they were like, wrap it up. So then I came back the next time, or before I came back, I failed my license and I was like, I'm gonna book again the other week. So I went back to the same driving school, paid them I think for 3 lessons and another car hire, and then they were like, okay, cool. So like, I don't know, I felt like I was set up for failure, and I'm not blaming it on the driving instructor that was teaching me at that time, but I did feel like in a way they kind of butchered my confidence so I could come back for more lessons. And I think that's what most of these driving license or these driving academies do. They want to persuade you or like convince you to take more lessons because it's more beneficial for them financially. So I was like, it doesn't make sense, because I told you when I came here I already have experience with another driving school. I'm just here to polish up a few stuff before my lessons, before my test. So what do you mean I have to do 10 lessons? Now I gotta start from the bottom? Yeah, so I was like, it shouldn't be like that. Why? Like, I don't understand. So yeah, and then I did more lessons. Yeah, I go for my next test. I still feel like, shucks, I haven't practiced the incline. There's still areas that I feel like I just don't have it. I don't know, man. I just don't have it. So before that, I had booked a different driving school, which was M1D Driving Academy. I think his name was Paul. I don't know, but like if you search up M1D Driving Academy, you will see they're very affordable, by the way. The driving instructor is amazing, great personality, friendly, so bubbly. He's so good at like 10 out of 10. If I could rate him 25 out of 5 stars, I would. He did that. So I obviously went, polished a few stuff, and I was so grateful because he actually made me go to the route test, and we practiced it the day before the test, like for 2 hours, if not an hour. And I felt so confident because then I know what to expect when I'm doing the road test. And I felt like before, I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't even know how the route would be from, like, where am I driving from to where. And yeah, like, I was just like so confident and feeling so much lighter as well. I mean, obviously the anxiety is bound to be there, but I was like, okay, this is a second attempt. I just wish I would have went to him sooner. Like, I just wish I would have just went to him, because I felt like if I was there from the get-go, I wouldn't have spent so much money. I probably spent a good 3K on just lessons. And that's ridiculous. And that's besides car hire. So that's so crazy, but I mean, we live and learn. Obviously people are not the same as well. So then I go for my second lesson, and I'm like, for my second test, and I'm like, I got this. I don't know what happened, y'all. I blacked out. I did my parallel parking, passed it. Alley darking, passed it. Now it's time for me to shift. It's time for me to move from the left alley docking to the right alley docking and start from there. What does Zama do? She indicates fine to the right because I'm going to the right. Instead of putting the gear to 1, Zama puts the gear where? Reverse. I do all of my blind spot checks, everything, and then car is going back. Kanjan, manch. Kanjan, because I'm looking at the front. I'm facing the front, but the car is. And just like that, they did not give me any grace. The Gunubi instructors or the Gunubi traffic officers are so kind. They're so professional. Like, they don't even allow those bribes and all of that, because they believe like you don't need all of that. You can do this, but it's all in here. So that's how I failed my second. It's like, they even told me, even my driving instructor was like, what you did was so unusual. It's such a unusual thing. Like, it's not common at all. And I just also felt like it was just anxiety or nerves creeping in, because I just blacked out. I don't even remember putting my gear in reverse. I do remember holding the gear, but taking it to reverse, yeah. So yeah, but he wasn't harsh on me. He was like, okay, it's fine. It happens though. You get anxious. You just have to work on that. So he always recommend that before you go for a test, I don't care how prepared you were, always have a test for the parking and for the route before the test, so that your mind is refreshed and you're not making any silly mistakes. So yeah, I did 2 more tests again. 2 more lessons before my 3rd attempt, and I passed my 3rd attempt. So now we're gonna get to how I passed, or the tips that I have rather. And yeah, this is not going to be a long video based on the tips that I actually give you guys, because I feel like everything is just straightforward with that. Number 1, right? If you do have a car to practice at home, you are privileged, okay? You are lucky, because I did not have that privilege. And if you don't, you're still good to go. Like, you're still good to go. And I remember my traffic officer telling me, like, this whole thing of parents telling you guys, nah, you shouldn't be using an automatic to practice, it's gonna ruin. It is true to an extent, because when you are so used to driving an automatic car, you kind of forget a lot that you should be doing in a manual car. But at the same time, it shouldn't be an excuse not to drive, because at the end of the day, you are driving, and the whole point is for you to be so familiar with driving on the road with other cars so that you're not as anxious and you know how to handle everything. So I think I am still grateful that my mom would let me drive every now and then just to get the feel of how it is to drive on the road. And then other stuff is what you will practice when you go to your driving lesson and then familiarize yourself with. So number one, practice. If you don't have a car to practice at home, what I did was those mock driving tests on YouTube where you see students basically driving with the instructor in the passenger seats. I'd always like watch those, especially because most of them are based in the UK and the UK system is almost similar with our system. Those videos are a bit harder and they're not exactly how your driving test is going to be. So if you watch those videos, don't be anxious. And I want you to watch those videos because the more you set yourself up with that sort of expectation, the more relaxed you are when you realize that your route is actually going to be way more simpler than those videos, because they drive in the highway, they drive in like, yeah, those routes are crazy. But it also kind of gives you an idea of when to change the gear, how to maneuver around circles, around stop signs, around hills, like those type of stuff, because also routes are not the same. It also depends which traffic department you go to and the area you're in. I went to a very quiet traffic department because I knew that the area that my route would be in would be convenient for me. There's not a lot of cars, which makes it so much easier for me to not be anxious when driving. When you do, for instance, if you go to a lesson, you practice alley docking, you practice parallel parking, come back, practice that by watching it, because the more you see something being done, the more you familiarize yourself with it, the more it's easier to implement it because you're now familiar with it. So practice, watch those videos, don't stop watching the videos, and also ask the driving instructor before you go to the next step, right? So if the next day you have another lesson, just ask them if you can just quickly summarize or do what you did yesterday so you know that you're good with it. Number two, go for a traffic department that has good views and that is reliable. This is not just based on like bribery stuff and all of that, but also the route. Because for me, I'm gonna speak for East London, for instance. I wouldn't have went for the one in Bryleen because I felt like the route is also near. Okay, I didn't know actually. You actually go to Amalinda for that route, which is not bad now that I think about it. But you have to scale your options. You have to scale your options because for me, I wouldn't have been able to deal with the anxiety that comes with the traffic in Amalinda from it down while you're also doing your test. But at the same time, it's like, okay, if I can go to Econobi, then that's more convenient because then there's not a lot of cars there. And the route is so simple because the only time you deal with the traffic is when you are getting out of the traffic department on your way to the so it's out of the traffic department, you go up, stop sign, you turn left, you pass by the townhouses there, you pass by Kingsway Mall, and then you turn left there and you go straight down to Gunebi High, you pass there, and then from there it's so smooth because you just drive around the beach and it's just that chilled. So yeah, choose your traffic department wisely, check the reviews, ask people who have done their driver's license before how it was for them. And yeah, because those new traffic departments they're just sketchy, man. They're just dodgy as well, because apparently I heard some of them kind of make you fail because they want you to pay them. So I mean, it wouldn't have worked for me. The third advice would be, don't underestimate how important observations can be. Observations matter. Check your mirrors every 5 to 8 seconds when you're driving on the road. Observe. Those things have a lot of marks, guys. Observations have a lot of marks, and if you're gonna underestimate it, you can lose a lot of points. Observe all the time. If you're going to indicate to the right, mirror right mirror, blind spot, then you indicate. The fourth advice I probably have for you guys would be make sure that you are confident with your parkings. They are tests. Make sure you are confident and don't panic, guys. I feel like Yazi, incline is not as difficult as they make it seem to be. Because for me, before I did everything, I had a big fear of incline. I felt like, yo, if there's anything I'm gonna fail, it's incline. And honestly, if there's anything you should be nurturing and putting your whole heart into, it's anti-docking and parallel parking. Don't underestimate those two, because one wrong move, you're out. One wrong move, it's chai. So yeah, parkings, make sure you ace all of your parkings. 3-point turn is really not that difficult, but don't underestimate any parkings. No parking is better than the other, because if you're gonna relax and focus on one thing, when it's time for you to do the test, you're gonna make a mistake on that one thing you didn't focus on because you thought it was easy. So practice, 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 and don't get tired of practicing. The fifth advice, as I said earlier on, I think, always have a lesson before your test day. In fact, no, if possible, always have a lesson on the day of your test, an hour before. And this is what my driving instructor told me. He was like, it's very important for you to have it on the day sometimes, or at least the day before, because it refreshes your mind and it helps you build up the momentum so you don't like ungatyafi, you know, so you don't get discouraged easily. What he would do was, if my test was on 1 o'clock or 1:30, we would have 2 lessons, so it's 1 hour, 1 hour. So 11 o'clock I'm doing parkings, 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock I'm doing the road test, so that when I get to the traffic department after the test, the mock test, the road mock test, I don't wait any longer, because the more you wait, the more assumptions or the more anxiety you have, the more negative thoughts you have. Then that's where you're setting yourself up for failure. Then that's when you start forgetting things because you're so anxious. So it's very important, like when you get to the traffic department, don't even spend more than 10 minutes. Just get there 5 minutes before the test, and yes, but you've already nailed everything before you got here, so you don't really have a reason to fail. Yeah, practice, guys. Practice, practice, practice. Make sure you ace those parkings. Be comfortable in the car. Make sure that your seat is adjusted to your liking, because at the end of the day, how you're seated affects the way you drive and the performance of how you drive. So very important to make sure you're seated properly so that you can also be comfortable and you can also maneuver the clutch very well. Clutch balance is very important. I think it also differs with the cars that you drive. With the first car that I drove in my test, I noticed that I had to use both the clutch and the accelerator to move off in hills. But with the Suzuki Swift that I drove in my third attempt, it was so easy. I didn't have to use any acceleration whatsoever. And I also had noticed that when you use acceleration for your hills or your incline, you lose points. So if you can, guys, try not to use any acceleration, but obviously to be confident, you can. Yeah, well, maybe if you feel like, okay, you can risk those few points and make up for them in the long run, it's fine. But it's always best to be on the safe side, because you don't even know how many points you're losing. You just see the instructor writing, you see. So if you can, just try and clutch, like balance your clutch kakuhle until you can feel the biting point, handbrake down, and the car is going to move off with no doubt. But if you feel like you're not as confident, then you can accelerate just a bit. Don't let the revs go past 2 or 1.5. And yeah, you can't really have a lot of tips when it comes to driving, because everything is practical. But I feel like you can do this, and don't beat yourself up if you fail. Do it again. Don't get discouraged. Go and book that test again. But anyway, guys, if you like this video, please do like, comment down below, and subscribe. See you guys on my next vlog.